Have you ever noticed how history is just packed with these brilliant thinkers who see the world in completely, totally opposite ways? I mean, how does that happen? Well, some philosophers would tell you it's not just a random clash of opinions. It all boils down to a single deep choice. A choice that, once you make it, it basically sets the entire course for how you see reality itself. And that brings us to the central puzzle. How in the world can we put a guy like Plato, who's all about a transcendent, perfect, other world, in the same philosophical hall of fame as Nietzsche, who famously told us that God is dead? Their views are polar opposites, so what makes them both great? It's not really about what they believed. The greatness comes from their commitment. See, a truly great thinker, they pick one of two fundamental paths, and they follow it all the way to its absolute, logical, sometimes terrifying end. There are no half measures, no picking and choosing what's convenient. And this deep-down commitment, that's the fundamental option. It's the key that unlocks the hidden logic behind everything else they say. Okay, so let's meet the contenders. Two fundamentally different views of reality. So here are the two paths, side by side. Just look at how the ideas in each column connect. They're like a package deal. For the realist, if God is a transcendent creator existing outside the world, well, then it follows that the world he made has a natural, meaningful order to it. And evil? Evil has to be a deviation from that good plan, a historical accident, a tragedy. But for the immanentist, if God is part of the world, or the world is God, then any order we see is man-made. It's artificial. And in that case, evil isn't some accident. It's just part of the system. It has to be there.
And it all starts with a very basic attitude, a gut instinct almost. Does theory come first, or does practice? The realist starts by looking out at the world, trying to understand it as it is. They contemplate. But the immanentist, they see the world as flawed raw material that just has to be changed. This one difference, contemplate versus transform, it's the fork in the road that leads to two completely different universes.
All right, let's dig into that. Is the world something you find or something you forge? And you know who just perfectly nails the immanentist impulse? Karl Marx. The philosophers have only interpreted the world. The point is to change it. I mean, that's the anthem right there. Action, practice, transformation, that always comes first. Let's try a travel metaphor. The realist journey is like the story of Ulysses. He leaves home, he has incredible adventures, and he returns. But he comes back changed for the better, enriched by the journey. The goal is always to return home. But the immanentist journey? That's more like Gulliver's Travels. He goes from one weird society to the next, and every new place he visits just makes him more disgusted with the home he left behind. The goal isn't to return. The goal is to escape. It's a one-way ticket out. The poet Baudelaire takes this feeling to its absolute extreme. The goal isn't just to find a better city or a better country in the world. It's to get out of the world entirely. A total, complete rejection of the reality we've been handed. Okay, now for the toughest question of all, the one that really drives a wedge between these two views. Evil. Is it an accident or is it inevitable? This is the question that often pushes people from realism toward immanentism. And no one articulates it more powerfully than the character Ivan Karamazov in Dostoevsky's great novel. He lists these horrific, real-life stories of cruelty to children, and then he asks, how can any future heaven, any cosmic harmony, possibly justify that price? The suffering of just one innocent child seems to make a complete mockery of any divine plan. And this is his stunning, powerful conclusion. He says, if that's the price of admission to this world, if that's the deal for a ticket to heaven, I don't want it. I hasten to return my ticket. It is the ultimate act of rebellion, a total rejection of the entire system on moral grounds.
So, how does each path respond to this? The realist says evil is historical. It's a tragic accident, a wound that was inflicted on a world that was created good. It wasn't part of the original blueprint. The immanentist, though, says evil is ontological. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying it's baked into the very structure of reality itself. The problem isn't something that happened to the world. The problem is the world, its existence itself.
And this is where we land in a really painful paradox. See, the immanentist starts with this passionate, noble refusal to accept any justification for evil. They won't let God off the hook. But this path leads them to a terrifying conclusion, that evil isn't just an accident we can fight, it's an inevitable, structural feature of being itself. In trying to make the fight against evil absolute, they risk making that fight completely hopeless. Okay, last section. Let's bring this all home. Let's talk about your unseen choice and what it means for freedom and for meaning in your own life. This is Ivan Karamazov's other famous line. For the immanentist, getting rid of God, getting rid of a natural order, well, it seems to throw the doors wide open to absolute freedom. No rules, no limits, everything is possible. It sounds great, right? But is that really what happens? Well, the story often goes something like this. You start with the promise of absolute freedom. But here's the catch. A freedom without any external reality to push against, without any meaningful difference between right and wrong, it becomes empty. It becomes meaningless. Just like Oscar Wilde's character Dorian Gray finds out, if every single choice is equally permissible, then no choice has any real weight. And the freedom to do anything collapses into a kind of paralysis, where you can't do anything meaningful at all. And tragically, everything is permitted flips into its opposite. Nothing is permitted. So what we're left with are two totally different ideas of freedom. Is it freedom from things, or is it freedom for something? Immanentism champions freedom from all limits, all constraints. But realism, it defines freedom as the power for choosing the good. In this view, real freedom isn't the absence of limits, it's the meaning you discover when you commit to something within them. So you see, in the end, this isn't just some dusty, abstract philosophical debate. We all operate from one of these two basic postures, whether we realize it or not. Every time you face a challenge, every time you make a big life choice, you are implicitly, unconsciously taking a side in this ancient debate. The path you're on right now is shaping the way you live. And let's end with this haunting line from the Spanish philosopher Miguel de Unamuno. In what he called his atheist prayer, he just captures this final startling fear of the immanentist path. He says, "I suffer at your cost, non-existent God. For if you existed, I too would exist for real." It's the fear that in getting rid of a transcendent God, our own reality, our own solidness, our own existence becomes a little less, well, real. And that leaves us with a profound question. What exactly are the ultimate stakes of the fundamental option we choose?